Hey, Jim Evans, welcome to Loose Change. 30 days or your money back. That's what they tell me anyway. Great to see you. It's been a little while. Greg, great to see you as well. And we have a great guest who's going to join us in just a couple moments, so stick around. Here we are already more than halfway into winter. But man, did we get socked good by that polar vortex a little while back. It got cold, as you know. There was one day, Greg, the feels like was minus 22 at the Five Below store. Still trying to thaw out, for sure. And this happened. That cold snap we had there for several days, I saw people standing in line outside for ice cream at, well, you know, I don't know if I should mention their name or not, so, but handles is hard to beat, that's for sure. And people are crazy. I don't know what they're thinking. They're crazy. It was 8 degrees. I saw a guy wearing shorts. Yeah, he was standing in line in front of me. So. What else is going on? I hope everyone's New Year's off to a good start here. And New Year's Eve, I was in Pittsburgh. And I don't know if I should go for this one. You know what? We might have to refer to our analytics department. And we do have one. Well, here it is. Well, I don't know who that guy was standing there talking on the left, but our chief analytics officer was the young man with the appropriate expressions. So, and they say go for it. So New Year's Eve, I was in Pittsburgh, and a very special celebration because at midnight they had Steelers wide receiver George Pickens drop the ball. Speaking of which, the Browns are pretty much experts at that. So much so, now their all-pro defensive end, Myles Garrett, says he wants a trade. And it's too bad they can't do the same thing with their $230 million knucklehead mistake, Bill Cosby, or Deshaun Watson. You know, that guy is so toxic, they couldn't even work a deal with the Newcastle School of Trades, which is way better than any NFL team, that's for sure. Well, what else? As the taping of this show, we are just a few days away from the Super Bowl. Greg, you're going, right? You're taking the company jet down? You have your own jet, right? So you're not going, though? I read where Eagles and Chiefs, but I read where the cheapest ticket was $3,400. About the same cost for 2 dozen eggs right now, so it's not that bad. Pro mature football. Ohio State wins the national championship just a little while back, of course, and a lot of people celebrating that still. And that was the first ever 12-team college football playoff. It wasn't perfect, but it was entertaining. And I always find myself entertained by the TV cutaways of college football fans, like this guy again. Now, I'm guessing that U on his 24-pack abs stands for under. The influence. All right, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back with South Range head football coach David Rach. So get where you're at. I'm going to try and warm up.
Things change. One thing you can count on is that Armstrong always will be Armstrong. We've stood by our name, from our humble beginnings in 1946 through the millions spent expanding fiber broadband in our communities. We've never changed our name to run from our reputation. We've established trust by simply putting our people, customers, and services first. It's a practice that holds true and will continue at Armstrong.
Welcome back to Loose Change. Again, I'm Jim Evans. I have the great privilege to be joined by the head football coach of the South Range Raiders, Coach David Rach. Coach, thanks so much for coming in
Thank you
and
for having me.
share your time with us. It's great to have you here. And what we like our victims or our guests to do off the top, those who don't know you, just give us a brief background check. Where you went school courses, South Range, but how your career path took shape to where you are now.
Yeah, my name is Dave Rock. Obviously, I am a South Range graduate. Graduated 2007, and was really lucky to play for a great coaching staff and a great program. In Coach Yeagley, and ended up going to Youngstown State afterwards, where I was fortunate again to play for a great coaching staff and a couple great coaching staffs, and finished up there and decided to go back and start coaching. I spent my first year actually at Canfield with their freshman team, coached a year there, and then the following season joined Coach Yeagley's staff and was really lucky to meet, not to meet, but to get back together with a lot of coaches that coached me. And I've been there since 2013. Became the head coach of South Range. Last year was my first year, so just finished year 2, and excited to be there, teach there, and it's something that it's a place that I really care for, so I feel very fortunate.
When you were in high school playing ball, did you know then, hey, I'm going to go to school and then get a coaching job and do this?
Yeah, I was kind of unique, I guess, probably like an old soul. We have a picture from me. I think I was in maybe 3rd grade, and we had to put a goal down, and I drew a football player and said I want to be a football coach. So I was one of those guys that I never had aspirations. I knew what my limitations were as a player, so I didn't want to. I played in college to give myself a better chance to coach. Mm-hmm. So I've known that's what I wanted to do. To be honest with you, I never even considered the opportunity of being at South Range, just because Coach Yeagley was such a big role model in my life. It felt, as a youngster, you feel like he's going to coach forever. And but like I said, I feel really fortunate, and I'm one of the lucky ones that I've kind of known, what it is that I wanted to do, since I was a little kid.
Now I do a lot of radio games on 1390 and WKBN over the years. Did you wear number 17?
I wore 11. I wore 11. Close. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why, and I said the year 17 when we were talking earlier. And I don't know why I thought, hey, you wore number 17.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Well, we're number 11, and I graduated in 07, so maybe that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, the one of the 7. I don't know. My brain has a way of doing that type of thing.
That makes 2 of them. Mine too.
But, having that experience to play for Coach Yeagley and then coach with him, what are a thing or two that really stands out with you, and what made him so great as he was?
I think there's so many things. If I had to narrow it down, I would say a couple things primarily. Number one was just the consistency of his approach, as it pertained to preparation. It didn't matter if we were playing, for a league championship or a regional title, or if we were, playing a team that hadn't won a game that year. The preparation, the attention to detail, was always the same. I would also say he was, a terrific teacher.
Yeah.
I think most of the people that are, intimately familiar with South Range would tell you, as accomplished as he is as a coach, he's actually a better teacher.
I've heard that.
I can attest to that. He was my high school teacher, and I probably made him pull his hair out, but he was a terrific teacher. And then just the relationships, his legacy and his record, it speaks for itself. But I think he's just impacted so many people within the South Range community, and he does such a good job of listening to people and being empathetic, and just the relationships that he's built. And I think that's probably one of the things that I'm the most proud of, in terms of being the coach at South Range. Just there's a certain reputation I think that is directly tied into the way he handled people, the way he treated people.
And obviously you're there to compete and win and everything. But I always hear from every coach I talk to that's had any success, and I'm sure you fall right in, it's about the kids.
Yeah, and I can tell you, in the last couple of years, it seemed like we used to joke around as assistant coaches used to tease him, but it felt like that was one of his buzzwords or his key phrases. It's about the kids, and he meant it. And we continue to mean it, and I think our kids understand that. Even going back, I knew as a player that there was no ego involved with the coaching staff, and that it was about us, and that he cared about us, and was going to do everything that he could do to give us the best chance. And I remember him talking about he used to say, coaches lose games, players win them. there was never any ego with him, and I think, as a player, even if we weren't great at voicing it at that time, it was something that we've really appreciated about him.
There are schools or wherever that have athletic teams. Then there are those that have programs.
Yeah.
And there's a difference to that, isn't there? And he
Absolutely.
really developed that, and you've taken the torch and carried that on.
Yeah, and I think it's not just the coaches, or it really is a community
Yes.
wide effort.
Yeah.
And I think when you talk about great teams, I think a lot of schools can have a great team. I think what separates great programs from great teams is just the I guess the pride in it, or the competitive spirit, or the pride in performance, where you're trying everything you can to turn a 4-6 team into a 6-4 team, or a 9-1 team into a 12-1 team, or just because you understand that every one of those wins counts, every one of those weeks of preparation count, and then I think what you start getting is you start seeing players that the program means more to them than any individual or team success. It's been really neat now. I've been here for over a decade as a coach, and it's been really neat for us to see so many of our former players come back and give back, or come check out the game, or shoot us a text message, hey, good luck tonight. That's something that I think is a little bit unique to South Range, and probably speaks volumes about the quality of the program that Coach Yeagley built, and that we're trying to continue.
Yeah, it draws younger kids in even more. That they really want to be a part of this, as opposed to just I'm going to go out and play. It means something.
Yeah,
to get involved.
I think if you talk to our kids, it's interesting. Some of my buddies that are in the head coaching profession, I've talked to them. Hey, what's year 2 like? And almost all of them said, well, good luck with the pregame speeches, because you've already used up all your best material. And I tell you what, they were so correct about that. Where in year 2, it's like, and I had a mature group last year, so you kind of run out of things to, strings to pull. And the thing that we found that I think got us, the most excited to go play, and our kids would tell you, they love seeing the little kids, out there wearing jerseys, and making a tunnel, or sitting in the stands. And I think our kids understand, our high school players understand what they mean to those, those youngsters, and it means the world to them. And we're fortunate at South Range, it's a K-12 campus.
Yeah.
So they cross each other in the halls, and you'll see our high school players down in the cafeteria hanging out with them. And so it really is, the high school kids are the ones that get the chance to go play, but it really is a program-wide or community-wide, program.
Where Coach Yeagley got it, and where you're working with it now, no matter the opponent, the situation, you guys take the field, the kids expect to win.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's something that it takes a long time, to get to there. And you can see our schedule this year was tough. Our schedule next year is absolutely brutal.
Really?
And it's been tough, to get local games, and to get games scheduled against teams that are in our own division or close to it. So we're playing a lot of bigger schools, and one thing that our kids, I think, have kind of adopted is we don't really care who we're playing. We're going to show up and give it our best shot. And I think part of that, and this is going to sound counterintuitive, but I think part of that is not being afraid to lose. I think our kids expect to win, certainly, but sometimes I think if you're afraid to lose, it maybe impedes your ability to go win. And I think our kids are really good at playing fast and loose, and kind of throwing caution to the wind and doing the best that we can.
You mentioned the community support, and that's been there for a long time, but even more so now. You had this great facility out there, and I know there was a lot of feelings. I have friends from out there, and a couple of guys that played ball there a long time ago. And that old stadium really meant something. That was really such a unique, great place. But now, the transition's been made, and boy, it's really sweet out there.
Yeah, we just were talking about this the other day, and it does come up a lot. I'm one of the lucky ones that got to play, in the old stadium.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm one of the lucky ones that gets to be in the new stadium now. And I got to say, I think I'm kind of right on the fence, because to me, the old stadium is so special, but I've also seen just the investment and how lucky we are to have what we have now. At first, before we finished phase 2, I don't know that it quite had the same feeling, but now on a Friday night, the new stadium it's a great atmosphere, and especially with the new seating they have in the patio, it's a really great place, and I think it does such a good job of having some of the old stadiums feel, but obviously everything's so updated, and it's really nice. And as a coach, it's nice not having to practice in the mud and the wet grasses in
Yeah.
the mornings in the summer. That's for sure.
What's the next phase if that's in the plans? Or
It's above my pay grade.
Okay.
I don't know what they're working on. All I know is that everything we ask from the community or from the administration or the boosters, it's gotten taken care of. So I'm sure they have big plans for something, and we're excited to see what it is.
You mentioned competition, and I remember hearing, of course, in the media and just people in general, about when the move was made to the new conference in Northeast State, and the question was, well, how's South Range going to match up with the Polans and the
sure.
Struthers and man, it's been almost I don't even know how to describe the success. It's just been phenomenal what you guys have done over there, and have really dominated that league.
Well, I'll say
And it's a great league too.
No, it is, and I think we've seen more playoff success recently because of it, and we've had to really step up our game. We had to do a lot of things as a program, even before joining the league. Once we officially joined it, we had a 2-year layover there, and had to play as an independent and had to beef up our schedule. And I think having that 2-year independent schedule where we were playing Louisville and playing a really good Sharon team and St. Clairsville and some of those teams kind of forced us to get to a spot where we had to learn how to be able to play with those guys. And it's been, like I said, it's been a great league for us, and one that we're really fortunate to be a part of. Also, it's all cyclical. I think we're a program that takes a lot of pride in winning. I also think that every other team in the league does too, and
Sure.
we're lucky to get challenged by great coaches and great teams and great programs every week.
For sure. We're going to take a break, and then you can hang around for a minute or two, right?
Cool,
Okay.
yeah.
We'll be back with Coach Dave Rock right after this. Welcome back. I'm joined by South Range head football coach David Rock, if you're just checking in. And Coach, a couple of years ago, you had that phenomenal season, the state championship run. What was that like to be part of?
Oh, it was incredible. It's something that I think as a program we've been working towards, for so many years.
Yes.
And kind of it was, in hindsight, it's a 16-week season. It's really long. In hindsight,
Yeah.
it didn't feel like it took all that long. It felt like such a fast year, and it was one of those things where I think the whole community, there was so much excitement around the team, even going into that year. I think we had a pretty good idea that we would be a really good team. Certainly didn't early in the year know what we could become.
Right.
But yeah, it was amazing, an amazing ride, and I think one that our whole community is not going to forget, and it was really excited about. Now we're trying to go get some more here sooner than later.
How would that has paid dividends for you, just being part of that scenario? To reach that, to reach the championship game is real. Win or lose is a real accomplishment, and then obviously you come out on top, and mission accomplished. But what did you take from that as a coach? That you're maybe going to implement here now or have already?
We don't do a whole lot different than what we did,
Yeah.
that year. We've made some adjustments and kind of changed some things. One of the things, looking back, I took over maybe, 2 months after that game was played. And one of the things that we talked about as a staff was just the war of attrition, if you will, and how we had to kind of manage workloads throughout the regular season.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I think really benefited us that year was that we were able to maintain health, throughout the playoffs. But there's so many things that, even last year's seniors were a big part of that team. And just them being able to see, kind of the development or the story of the season, I think has helped us immensely. There were some guys on that team that were seniors in 22 and maybe weren't playing it. There's 22 seniors on that team.
Yeah.
So you can only play 11 at a time. And just seeing that some of those guys that maybe weren't playing as much as they wanted to early, the way they practiced, the way they prepared, they started getting on the field, more late in the season. And I think our kids, now have an appreciation for, just the value of practice and preparation in terms of, developing yourself and maybe not getting hung up on how things are going week one and realizing there's a long time to continue to improve. I also think we got a lot better, from week 1 through week 16 that year. we had some, fierce practices going into week 16. Wednesday night, before the Friday morning game, we were breaking up some fights and stuff. It was seniors on seniors, and they were going at it. And I think our young kids that were on the team understood that. And the other part of it is, those young kids got an extra 6 weeks of practice.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about
we
that.
continue to benefit from that, and that's one of the reasons why you're trying so hard to. We talked before about the program. Turn a 12-win season into a 13 or 14-win season. Those extra 2 weeks are so valuable, especially when you're talking about the brightest of lights and experiences that they're not going to forget, and that you hope harden them and teach them something.
Yeah, we get caught up, and not for good reason. The star players and the people around the starters on both sides of the ball. But how important those other guys is the whole collective effort with practice during the week. The other guys that are contributing, and that means so much to your success.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. And not only as a service team, if you will, or a scout team to develop the starters at a higher level, but you want those guys to develop quickly as well. It's going to help you on special teams. And there's so many, I think, advantages to having, that depth improving, throughout the course of the year as well. For one thing, you're able to practice a little bit harder if you feel a little bit better about the depth. Where years where you're a little bit more thin, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's hard to make the improvements or the tough practice schedules when hey, if we lose one or two of these guys, we're in a bad spot. So, I think, and the 22 team's a great example. We felt really good about our depth everywhere. And those guys worked really hard at developing throughout the year to where we were still able to, week 16, kind of lay it out there on the line in practice.
Mm-hmm. We had Coach Yeagley in here not long after he announced his retirement, and he had told us, I think he said you guys had gone to a clinic somewhere, because I asked him, when did you know? He said, he said, I had no plans to retire. You guys went to a clinic somewhere, and he said it hit him. You know what? I can step away from this now, and you're going to run the ship, and this is the time to do it.
Yeah, it was, ironically, we're going to that clinic. We leave tomorrow morning for that same clinic. It's down at Ohio State. It's a Ohio High School Football Coaches Association clinic. And, it was very surprising to us as well. And I think I maybe found out Wednesday following that, and he's too nice to throw us under the bus. But what happened was we were talking ball in a hotel room, and a couple of us coaches got like wrestling over something, and he's sitting back thinking, oh my gosh, what's going on? But no, and I think what he was, I guess, explaining was just the family atmosphere that he created on the staff. I'm fortunate that it's about the same staff, as the one that he built, and they really are. They're my best friends. I spend time with them, year round, and we hang out all the time. We have a group message and all that stuff. But I think that's probably unique, just the continuity and the longevity and time that we've spent together. We're kind of unique in that there's coaches on our staff that coached me. There's coaches on our staff that I've coached, and then there's coaches on our staff that I've watched play and that played with me. So it really is kind of a timeline that's pretty interesting. But like I said, they're some of my best friends, and they really are. They're kind of the engine that makes us go as the assistants.
What has been the biggest difference, aside from doing this kind of stuff, jumping from assistant to the head coaching role?
You know what? Like you said, the media stuff is probably the one thing that's the biggest deal. Some practice schedule stuff and decision-making stuff. The thing that's been the most challenging to me probably is getting used to game management on Friday nights.
Okay.
I'm so used to or programmed to looking at the game from a defensive perspective in terms of game management, where now you're trying to look at both sides of it and pay attention to that a little bit more. But there hasn't been, a huge difference, I guess, and it's probably different for me than most coaches or most new head coaches, because I've already interacted with the staff for, 20 years in a lot of cases. So we kind of knew what to expect from one another. But yeah, there hasn't been a huge difference. If anything, I don't get to coach quite as much as I was before.
Okay, yeah.
Just I'm busy looking at different stuff, and I do miss being more intimately involved defensively, but it's definitely worth it. Just you get to spend a little bit more time with the kids in some different spots.
Yeah, we're 12-2 your first season, correct? And then it was 14-1 last year.
Yeah, I think so.
You made state semifinals last year.
Yeah.
we got to that point, we heard, I was doing another game, we were keeping track and kind of fell behind. I was like, well, they got it right where they want them. But, you get up to that level, and man, just to make it there, that really says something. And the competition gets so tough, and who knows what's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously a tough night for us. I don't know that we had our best stuff that night.
Yeah.
Which you need to have that time of year. And I don't think it was for a lack of preparation or anything else. I mean, if you're a competitor, in any arena, I think anyone can relate to it. Sometimes you just don't have your best stuff. And I was proud of the week that we had. I'm proud of how we played that night. We just kept fighting. We just, there was a 3 or 4 minute part of the game there right before the half and coming right out of the half where it just got away from us. We turned it over a couple times and gave up a couple big plays, made an error on special teams, and those things will bite you in the backside. If you're not careful. But week 15, going in, you've got to play a clean game, to have a chance. And unfortunately, we didn't have it that night, but I think we'll be better long term because of that.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you. You lost a lot of great players, through graduations. What are your feelings right now about the group you have for this season?
Yeah, well, we're going to be really young. We lost a really big senior class, and our current junior class. The guys that are going to turn into seniors are going to have to turn into seniors. There's not as many of them, and they've made impacts previously. They're going to have to step in and take on the new role of leadership, and then we're going to have some young guys that they grow up really quick. The good news for them is they're a talented group, and they've been able to witness the success of those guys that are older than them and see the way they prepared and the way they handle their business on and off the field. And that's one of those things we talk a lot as a program about the things that you're doing away from the football field and how they impact your ability to play on a Friday night. Stuff that nobody thinks about, getting up and making your bed, or things that kind of set you up for success or get you accustomed to winning, and how important that is. And I hope our young guys have taken that seriously. I think they have, because they're going to have to grow up and mature very quickly, and in order for us to maintain the standard or try to raise the bar again.
Well, it'll be here before you know it. So we can't thank you enough for coming in here. We're out of time now. We could go on for a little while here, but it's great to have you here, and I can't wish you the best of luck enough. And hopefully, we haven't had a chance to do as many radio games recently the last couple of years for a lot of different reasons, but hopefully we'll get that chance this season, and look forward to talking to you then.
No, we'd love to have you, and I appreciate you guys having me, and appreciate all that you guys do.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Coming season. Coach David Rock, we'll be right back to wrap it up right after this.
Things change. One thing you can count on is that Armstrong always will be Armstrong. We've stood by our name from our humble beginnings in 1946 through the millions spent expanding fiber broadband in our communities. We've never changed our name to run from our reputation. We've established trust by simply putting our people, customers, and services first. It's a practice that holds true and will continue at Armstrong.
Well, that's going to do it for our show. Thanks so much again to South Range head football coach David Rock, and best of luck to he and staff and all the kids coming up in the season. We'll be here before you know it, that's for sure. Thanks as always to Greg Rote and all of you. And again, you can check us out on YouTube. Just go to Armstrong Loose Change. I'm Jim Evans. We'll catch you next time right here on this show, on this channel. Right?